Hi, I'm Dan from Eightfold Property, and in this video I'm going to give you 6 tips on ways to maintain your rented property throughout the winter. Tip number 1, boiler pressure. If you haven't used your boiler very much over the summer period, as you hit the winter you might find that the pressure drops when you start trying to turn the heating on. We have a video for it here, and if you click on that, James will show you how to top up your boiler. It's really quite a simple process, and it is a tenant's responsibility, so make sure you're giving it a good go before you call your agent and they have to get a plumber out. Tip number 2, bleeding radiators. It is actually quite a simple process. You can get a radiator key from most hardware stores, and you realise that as you're touching your radiator, if it's hot at the bottom but there's nothing coming up at the top and it's cold at the top, then you've got too much air in your radiator. So you're going to need to use your radiator key, and you just slowly release the valve, get the air out of it, and so it can fill with hot water, therefore making the radiator really quite a lot more effective. Tip number 3, condensation. You will get condensation in a house during the winter. This conservatory, for instance, has got lots of windows in it, and these are going to get cold in the winter. And if there's something in here that's producing moisture, for instance like a human being breathing, that is going to condensate on these walls, and condensation just means that the moisture in the air is going to turn to water, and it's just going to be running down the walls. This can happen in rooms where you've got a lot of gear, a lot of furniture, a lot of clothing. If there's not a lot of ventilation going on, then it's just going to find a cold spot on the wall and it's going to condensate, and if you don't clean that up, it's going to turn to mold. A little quick tip to try and get rid of some condensation and moisture and mold in the properties is to make sure that if you're drying clothes, you're not going to be doing them in your bedrooms. If you've got towels on radiators and jeans on radiators, all these items hold an awful lot of water when you take them out of the washing machine, and that water's got to go somewhere. All that's going to do is turn to condensation, turn to moisture in the air, and again, if you don't clean it up correctly, it's going to be moldy. So you want to make sure that if you are drying stuff, try and dry it in a bathroom where you've got an extractor fan going on, or like in a conservatory like this where you could open some windows and make sure that any moisture that's coming off your clothes is going to be leaving straight away. Tip number 4, you do need to make sure your house is heated. At the moment we're going through a bit of an energy crisis, and a lot of people are going to be looking to save some money this year. It's really not going to help if you're turning the heating down and the house is getting cold. That's going to lead to, again, excess condensation, excess moisture. You're going to get mold develop, and it's not going to be great for the fabric of the building. So you do need to make sure that you keep the temperature of the house at a nice even level. It doesn't have to be roasting, but you do need to make sure that the walls and the building itself is going to be kept at a decent regular temperature. Tip number 5, ventilation. This is vastly underrated and something that can really improve the quality of your house. If you're not going to keep some windows open, then you will get a build-up of condensation and mold again. A lot of these heating and ventilation issues are going to result in mold. So you need to make sure that the regular heating in the house is going to make sure that any moisture needs to escape, and you need to make sure that windows are opened. You don't need to have loads of them open, but you need to make sure that there is an escape for any moisture in the house. Otherwise, again, it's just going to cling to the cold areas in the house. It's going to condensate, going to turn to mold, and it's going to be not very pleasant. Lastly, cleaning. If you do have mold and you do have condensation, which are all going to be part and parcel of the previous 5 points, you do need to make sure you clean it off. You can't just look at it and hope that it's going to disappear. You need to get a bleach spray. You need to clean that off. You need to make sure that the spores are dead. So if you do have a cold window or wall and you're going to see condensation pooling down and sitting on your windowsill, you do need to wipe that up. If you don't, again, all it's going to do is turn to mold, it's going to spore, and it's just not going to be pleasant. So you need to make sure that you're cleaning on top of your ventilation, on top of your heating, and all of these little points are just going to be dealt with, and it's just going to make sure that as you come out of the winter period, you've enjoyed your house and you've got money well spent. I hope that's 6 tips that are going to make your winter stay in your rented house a bit more pleasant. I'm Dan from Eightfold Property. I'll see you on the next video.